What's going on, you guys? This is my Goss Harag statue. Follow along as I show you how I got to this point. This guy was a behemoth to sculpt, to get him on the printer and paint him and get this final product here. This video has been a long time coming and I hope you guys enjoy. Follow along as I go through the process.
So this is the skull of Goss Harag. I wanted something super aggressive. I had a lot of references to ogres, a bunch of monsters such as that, orcs, everything in between. I wanted him to be super powerful and something that was really cool and visually stunning. He already looks great in the game, and so I had to do justice to that. So my idea was to make him very menacing, and so I made very sharp points, very blocky build, give him power. Even in the jaw, you can see I gave him that ogre tusk type of look where the teeth come out of the sides. But then I also created a little bit extra just because I wanted that extra oomph. Really was happy with the design choices on the jaw and the skull. And then when I created the body, I had a little bit of trouble because Goss Harag is covered in fur. I wasn't sure what his body looked like, but I knew he was powerful and strong. So I decided to create a very long torso and make him very muscular with a lot of musculature. And that reason was because he's a huge brute monster, and I wanted him to be strong enough to take on something as the Devil Ho. So I created just underlined muscle, nothing crazy, just enough to see points of reference. And then I created the arms. Once I had the arms, I made sure that I had a concave spot because he could walk on his forearms, and I thought that was very important and a cool feature that you didn't really know he had these crazy claws. Now, the best thing to do when I had this set up was to go and reference the different scaling and everything else. So I blocked everything, got it ready that I could do detailing. Once I had the arms blocked out, I went ahead and started working on the other parts, such as the fingers. The fingers were super simple, just wanted something that was powerful, strong, and easily manipulated so that they could bend when I made the pose. The legs were pretty difficult. I wasn't sure how to make them because he's always in a squatted position and they look tiny. So I wanted something that was powerful and strong, but also looked realistic to the monster that was already created. So I came up with this type of build where the legs were very thick, very stocky, and had super aggressive, powerful toes for gripping, especially in the ice and the tundra environment. When I decided to make the skin, I was very careful on how I decided to do it. I wanted a leathery look. I didn't want so much scaling because he didn't look like he had a lot of scales, but I wanted something that looked tough and durable, kind of like elephant's flesh. And then I created the spikes. The spikes are an MMO brush, and all I have to do is click on a point and drag, as you can see here. The scales on his arms, I actually did each one of those individually. I would highlight them, I would move them, position them, smooth them out, and add detail, make them look like heavy scales. I did the same thing on the legs. It's a little bit easier to see visually here of that process. I screwed up on the toes, but actually moved them at the same time. I had to fix that, so that was a pain in the butt. But you can see how easy these MMO brushes actually allow you to manipulate the surface of your model. With the fur, I did the same thing. I created an MMO brush once I had the basic outline of where I wanted the fur. And this brush was a game changer for me. I created dozens of fur brushes, and this was the one that I loved the most. So I thought it'd be cool to show you guys how I go through that process of making it. Once I have all the details done, I literally click onto the polymesh group or the subtool and just click and drag, and it allows me to add the fur seamlessly without creating a bunch of them on my own. This would have taken countless hours if I created each fur piece by myself. And then once I had that, I did a turntable because I thought he looked like he had a tutu, and I laughed pretty hard. It's pretty cool. And then I created the cowl of fur that really defines Goss Harag and made him look super menacing. This is where I could actually see Goss Harag in the figure. But I couldn't figure out a pose. This is what I came up with. Doesn't look great. Doesn't do that in the game. Had a lot of trouble figuring out the fur. This was the final one. And this was all thanks to MRC Tattoo Marc up in Germany. This is the reference he sent me, and I was able to go through and create this pose in the base. So without him, I couldn't have done it. Couldn't have this cool render. This is kind of the point where I saw where Goss Harag could be, and I knew that this was going to be a model that I loved, especially with this turntable. Once the turntable was done, I went ahead and split all parts, made it so I could create it a model that was easily separated for 3D printing, and then I was able to put it on the 3D printer. All right, check it out. I've got the base going for the Goss Harag. Mess up part, mess up parts, mess up part, mess up part. Got a little expensive. This guy's almost done. Just a little bit left. So I almost used up the whole batch of resin in that tub. It's huge. Time lapse going. Let me flip it around. So it's getting there. It's been the craziest experience trying to get all this done while we're moving into a new home, and getting the new studio set up. So it's a complete mess. You can just see everything is just boxes everywhere, stuff going on. So hopefully, by the time this video is done, I'll be in my new studio. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen like I thought it would. We actually have been living in our home for almost 6 months, and I'm just now getting around to finalizing this video. But this is the time lapse of Goss Harag being dipped into the resin vat on the 3D printer, so you can see the process of that. This was an incredibly long process, much longer than I thought it would be, especially since I had 3 errors just on the resin print, not including the base print. But we got it finalized. Alright, so Goss Harag, the original, completely messed up. The bottom didn't even finish printing. Well, I stopped it, so that's why. But it's missing horns, just certain things that I didn't like about it. But the new one printed perfectly. I went back in, changed the supports, so now I have a great model. It looks beautiful, it's awesome. We need to clean up a few pieces, but then I can put it in UV for curing. And he's got his sword arm, which I cannot believe how big this guy is. But I like making them big, but this is huge. Look at this. That's massive. That's like 2 feet right there. You guys can see that. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm enjoying looking at it. It's pretty freaking cool. And he's got his other arm. Oh, I cannot wait. This is going to be amazing. This has been so much work to get to this point with everything going on. So let's see how this turns out. I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek. This dude is massive. Alright, so I have the Goss Harag here. We're going to get it primed in the priming booth, and then after we get it primed, I'm going to start painting it and get it finalized for the paint job. Super excited to finally get this moving forward. So I wanted a very simple color scheme for this Goss Harag. I know that I want him in rage mode, so you need to be red. So I chose a very flat red. And if you notice, I'm using basic acrylic paints. They're called apple barrel paints. 50 cents for a large volume of it from Walmart. And you just mix it 1-to-1 ratio with water, and it comes out amazing. This is much cheaper than spending money on Citadel or fancy acrylics. And look at how great the colors come out. I knew that I wanted a brighter color to put on first, and so you can see this brown is pretty bright because I'm going to do a wash over everything. Usually you do a wash first and kind of get the color set in, but I knew I wanted darker colors, and I thought it would be better to do a wash. If I had to go back, I would probably do the wash first and then brush over everything. But because I'm doing airbrush, I'm always going to airbrush first, then wash, and then brush over. So that's the process I went through on this. Now, Well, I couldn't figure out what color brown I wanted for it, but I wanted it to look snowy. So I went over all the brown with the white and just made it look very, very simple. And for the arm, I wanted it to look like a glacial ice, because glacial ice is the hardest ice. So when I painted that blue, I knew I was going to go over with other colors. This is me just fumbling around trying to get to the base. I'm not the most, I'm a bull in a china shop. Moose in china shop, bull in china shop. The base I wanted very simple. Wanted it icy with a little tint of blue, show it's deep ice, and then I was going to put a gloss on it so it looked kind of wet. The brush details were super simple. I just went over it with a lighter blue. I actually mixed these colors with whites and other things, so you can see I got grays in them that really come out with a color I thought looked like ice. And then I highlighted the edges where I figured the ice would be the thinnest, so it'd be almost a clear or white like snow, and the deepest spots had the dark blue. The eyes were of course a yellow, almost a glowing yellow, because it's Goss Harag and he has glowing eyes. But you can see how well the wash and all the color mixing and matching came out, made it a lot darker. And you can see on the feet, I actually used white to make it look like snow was on them. Once all the colors were done, I was able to put it together.
That is so cool. That's so good.
This is the final result. This was months of work, so much planning, so much stress, but it was well worth it, and I couldn't be happier with the result of this project. Goss Harag is finished. This was an incredible amount of work, an awesome journey. It was over 8 hours of painting, over 30 something hours of sculpting a ZBrush, mainly because of the fur. I remade the fur and a lot of things in the body multiple times, and then countless hours of printing just because I had so many errors, so many mistakes, but that's kind of the name of the game with 3D printing. But I am super happy with how this came out, and I absolutely love the pose.
Thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support my channel. It'll allow me to keep creating statues such as these. And go check out my Patreon. I'll have a link in the description below. And every model that I put on YouTube will be on my Patreon so that you guys have an opportunity to build them for yourselves as well. Again, I really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to MRC Tattoo Marc, my good friend up in Germany. I wouldn't have been able to do this pose or have it look so amazing without his help and his input. He's a great artist. Go check him out on Instagram, and I'll link him in the description below as well. Thank you all again. I am so excited to finally get this video done, and I can't wait to get the next one out there. So thank you all. Love you. Bye.